Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And I have what I hope will be uh, a good reminder broadcast today. This is about how we feel about ourselves and the importance of self-leadership and what that brings out in you. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Our quotes today are from Colin Powell, who sadly passed this week, a gentleman, and I say that because that's what always struck me, that he was such a gentleman for whom I had a great deal of respect. And so the quotes are going to be from him and also his views on leadership, because I think they're so important. As you may know, he was struggling with both Parkinson's and blood cancer, and eventually, was weakened by that. His immune system was weakened, and then he ended up with a COVID infection as well, and his body just couldn't cope with all of that at the same time. Colin Powell said, "There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure." And I just want to repeat that because I wonder how you feel about that. That there are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Hi there, Jeannie. I wondered whether you would be kind enough to be our admin today. Um, and let me know if that's okay with you. I just want to see if I need to nominate you as one. Probably. Or maybe you already are. Um, there you go. It's, as I will explain in a second, Jody can't be here for this broadcast, so and maybe not this evening. So just let me know if that is okay with you, so that I know that I can delegate to you if necessary. I wanted to let you know as well that please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. That's where we update people on what's going on. And Jeannie, I appreciate the fact that you are willing to do that. Thank you so much. And that there is no pass and fail on doing that. It's all a learning experience. I assure you that the day that I asked Jody to do it, she gave me much the same answer. And look at her now. So remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, give us a thumbs up and make sure you follow us here as well. Just to let you know that whatever views you hear will either be ones that I've researched, or they will be ones that I have learned during my life. And I say that because, I just want to make sure that I'm not a doctor or a therapist or anything like that. I'm a human being that tries to help people. I don't know what the weather's like down your neck of the woods, but right here in southern British Columbia, it is raining, and to put it very mildly, and it's socked in for the whole week. And I am one of those people that I suffer from barometric pressure. When the atmosphere socks in and the barometer drops, my head explodes. So it's not going to be an easy week for me. But I'm alive to talk about it, and that's the main thing, right? It dropped to the lowest. I think it dropped to 999 kilopascals yesterday. So it was. Let's hope I think it's a bit better today. Let me find out. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it makes. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we're up to 1002. So we're a little bit higher than yesterday. So the ceiling has lifted a little bit. We're down. I want to tell you, 999 was like, I could almost feel that I could touch the atmosphere. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that it's chilly where she is. And Jeannie, I was looking at one of your posts, and I wanted to say that I was looking at the picture of Misty in the corridor, and it looked like you had a transition step, very slight, between your two lots of flooring. And that worried me. The mother hen in me is going, that makes it so easy to trip. Tell me it was just an optical illusion, something that the picture made it look like that. Because, that's not something that... One of the things I was really fussy about here, Jeannie, was that no transitions anywhere. I don't have a single transition from one room to another because I know that as I get older, that's going to be dangerous for me. I wanted to just say it's going to be a happy birthday for Jeannie's grandson, Zephyr. By the way, a really nice picture that you put up, Jeannie. Jeannie's grandson, Zephyr, on the 24th. It's Jamie's birthday on the 24th. It's Kerry's birthday on the Halloween. And sometime in October, it has or will be Nada's birthday. I wanted to make sure that we all hold Jody in our thoughts and prayers today. She is actually at the specialist. She's getting some feedback post-op of that operation that she had. And I know that she is, will let us know as soon as possible what's going on. But let's keep her in our thoughts and prayers that everything is okay. If there are any other birthdays that I haven't mentioned, please let me know about them at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. So just let us know so that we can add them to our list. Colin Powell just was such an incredible human being, as you've heard me say. He also said, and I love this, he said, a dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. It took sweat, determination, and hard work. And, I think that is one of the things that so many people seem to forget. We live in an instant society where everybody wants everything immediately. And the truth is, you do need to work at things. They don't magically happen. As I'm sure that Jeannie will tell you in putting her house back together again after the fire, as I found putting my house back together after the fire I had here, it has all taken incredible amount of determination, sweat, and hard work. And it is just something we need to remember. Yes, Jeannie is saying everything important takes hard work. Yes. And, and if it doesn't, be grateful. But, don't be surprised. And I think that's what I noticed today. Everybody seems to think that you should just be able to take a quick pill and be better. You should just be able to, wave the magic wand and things will change. No, if you want things to change, you need to do things differently. And so what I wanted to do was to talk to you about leadership and look at it from all the angles, all right? Colin Powell said, leadership is solving problems. Be a problem solver, right? Leadership is solving problems. The day soldiers, and he talks about soldiers, but understand this is, we could put in people there or children, stop bringing their problems to you is the day you have stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help or conclude that you do not care. In either case, it is a failure in leadership. Isn't that interesting? That if people don't share their problems with you, the chances are they don't trust you. Think about that. And why don't they trust you? Because you haven't shown that you care to that degree. So look at it and say to yourself, am I somebody where people do bring me their problems? And do I welcome that? Am I happy about that? Is that something that I feel good about? And if so, that is great. Here are Colin Powell's 13 rules of leadership. And I think it's important as we go through this, that, as I said, that we look at it from all angles. So let's discuss it and see how you feel about these rules. Number one, Colin Powell said, it ain't as bad as you think. It'll look better in the morning. Now, I assure you, I would say that we have all had that situation where something dramatic happens. Jeannie had her whole house burned down. And, you're going to say, well, it is as bad as you think. She lost everything. But, the funny thing is, until it happens to you, Jeannie, would you agree with that? That until it actually happens to you, you don't realize that the impact is so great that it actually, you're just grateful to be alive. I mean, I can remember standing there with the fire engines and everything else, flames coming out of the top of my house, talking to the cop that was there as well as the firefighters and saying, you know, I'm just so grateful to be alive. I could have been asleep when this happened, and I wasn't. And I was able to control it, although I shouldn't have been able to do that. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. And so, this is like, you've got to think about that, by the next morning, I was still in some level of shock, but I was in a little bit more of reality. And I would say that it's a bit like an operation. And when I say a bit like an operation, the day that you sort of wake up from an operation, you're so pleased to be alive, and then it takes about 3 days for the drugs that they pumped you full of to actually leave your body, and that's when you feel the worst. Is about day 3 after an operation. So I don't know what your experience was, Jeannie, but in my case, it was probably. I would say I had so much to do in the first week that I don't think reality started to really hit in until week 2 or 3. What was your experience about that? In other words, I was so busy trying to get, because like Jeannie, I literally was left with the clothes I was wearing when the fire hit. And I still have those clothes to remind me. But, it's just like, yes, Jeannie's saying we were in shock. Yes, absolutely. And so it took me quite a while for that shock to calm down enough. I was still functioning. I think I functioned really well. But I wasn't, I was in what I call performer mode. And I don't know if you understand what I mean by that. In other words, I was putting on that performance that I was probably better than I really was. And I warned, funny enough, I warned everybody around me that I have that is a natural place for me to go because I am a performer. And so I just made sure that all my friends knew, I think I'm fine, but keep an eye on me because I'm not sure. And you will, you've known me a long time. You will know whether I'm BSing this or whether I am fine. And quite honestly, I was better than I imagined. And I do believe that a lot of it was because of the work we did on emotional intelligence last year. And by the way, all of these points that I'm going to make, these rules that Colin Powell came up with, are all about emotional intelligence. Don't overreact to stuff, all right? And that's what emotionally unintelligent people do, is stuff happens and they immediately react. Emotionally intelligent people will go, I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to respond to this while I'm in high emotion. And that is amazing ability. When you can do that, people want you to respond immediately, right? I want an answer now. Yeah, I'm sure you do, but I'm not going to give it to you now because right now I am in an emotional place and I don't want to regret something I say for the rest of my life. So therefore, let me give this a bit of thought and I'll get back to you tomorrow. So it isn't as bad as you think. Jeannie, I don't know whether you and York felt the same way, but the truth was, I was happy to be alive and I concentrated on that. The rest of it was stuff. Some of which, like you, Jeannie, I could never replace. But most of it, I have to say, I was fortunate, that I managed to save as much as I did. So remember, when things happen, when people say things to you that hurt, when life gets in your way, just take a breath and go. By the way, I know the grammar is bad, and I know Colin Powell didn't have bad grammar, so I know I say this with a smile, because if he said it ain't as bad as you think, it'll look better in the morning. It's not that he didn't know that that was not correct English. Rule 2. I like this rule. I like this rule a lot. It says, get mad and then get over it. All right. We know, because of the work that we've done together, we know that part of the cycle of loss is anger. Anger is an emotion, is a feeling you need to have. All right. It's an important one. It's how long you stay there that determines your emotional intelligence. If things can happen to you and you can get angry, and that you know how to get rid of that anger by venting to safe people, not venting to the person that made you angry. It is about understand that getting angry is a really good thing. All right. Get that negative energy out, but not at the person that maybe made you angry. That is a trick. Hi, Amel. Good to see you as well. And so, you look at it and you go, get mad and then get over it. I used to do this a lot when I was managing people. I'd go, get over it. Yeah, I hear you. It's horrible. Life sucks sometimes, but get over it. All right. And the thing is, Jeannie, how many times did you, during the process of recovering from your fire, think, oh, this isn't fair, or this really sucks, or whatever, and then realize you just needed to get over it and get on with whatever the next thing was? Getting angry. I had an appointment here due. The guy was meant to come and fix my vanity on Tuesday. He never came. Was I angry? Sure. I wasted, 2 hours waiting into that time frame when he was meant to be there. And then I wasn't sure whether I should go on with my life or not, because what if he just is late? So basically it was 3 hours wasted. And then I just got on with my life. I just thought, no. And then the next day I wasn't sure whether he was going to come, or not. And he didn't. And it wasn't until yesterday that I got a call from the company to say, hey, I'm phoning to apologize. I understand somebody was meant to be there. Yeah, I said, yeah, on Tuesday. And he said, yeah, and they didn't. And I said, no, they didn't. But you understand, I didn't spend the whole week being angry. I didn't even bother to phone. Why? I knew that they'd work it out eventually, and I got other things on my mind. Jeannie is saying that when she had the fire, she kept going forward regardless of what I felt, because I needed to live through it. Hi there, Becca. Good to see you as well. All right. So get mad and then get over it. All right. As quickly as possible. Again, don't ever react while you're mad. All right. The same thing as rule 1. It's really important that we don't react from a place of over emotion or anger. So why? Because we say things we regret. How many of you have said things to people that you regret for the rest of your life? Or how many of you have, sort of exposed your vulnerabilities to the wrong people? And one of the things, when I say that, one of the things that I learned in my life is it is really important to have a safe group of people, or to be able to vent to. When I say safe, that they understand where you're coming from. And, there's a difference between venting and pity party. Let me tell you what a vent is. A vent is, hello, friends, I just need to vent for a second. All right. And then go, blah, 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 this really made me angry. And then you get over it. You don't spend the next 2 hours still complaining about it. You just vent and then get over it. So, Becca, is it okay that I repeat what you're writing here? because I think it's very valid what you're saying here, and I'd like to be able to bring that into the discussion, but I'd like your permission first. So think about that, all right? Be aware of your anger, be aware of that. All right, so Becca's saying, oh, I do that way too much. All right, this is reacting out of emotion and anger. She said, so much so that I hold in stuff too much. All right, so she doesn't trust herself. So she, rather than do it, she holds stuff in. That, by the way, that's also not healthy, right? Because I'm scared to let people in. Becca, the trick is to have people you can vent to, but understand the difference between venting and a pity party, right? Jeannie's saying the difference between real friends and acquaintances who are not really sympathetic. Hi there, Kimmy. Yeah, I would say that to me, a friend is somebody I can vent to, but doesn't let me do a pity party. All right. In other words, and when I vent it, they don't try and fix it. All right. They probably will come back with a useful question like, and what are you going to do about it? You see, being emotionally intelligent doesn't mean that you whinge and whine for a day or two. Being emotionally intelligent means you get angry because that really upset you. And in your mind, you are capable of saying, yeah, this is not helping. What am I going to do about it? And the answer is either nothing, in which case move on. Don't keep regurgitating, don't keep bringing it up time and time again. Or I'm going to do something. I'm going to talk to them or whatever. Yes, Jeannie, I am aware that Jody has an appointment today. I started the broadcast with that information. Yep. Oh, I see you're probably telling Kimmy. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So, sorry, Jeannie, I forgot you're playing admin for me. Oh, that's interesting. Emil is saying, by the way, Mama Sal, now I'm about to study kindergarten because I love kids and I love teaching them. So I'll study for 4 years and to be a director in my own private school. Ah, how about that? So exciting. That is a big dream. And so these rules are important to you as well. Very important, right? When you're leading children. I often think these are rules for life, regardless of your age. There are even rules for having a pet, right? Don't react from emotion when you have a pet. All right. So, by the way, Emil, it is really important that you understand, as great as that is, studying isn't easy. It takes discipline. Ask Lauren. All right. It takes discipline, and it takes, it takes hard work. It takes commitment. However, Rule 4, and we're talking rules of leadership from Colin Powell today. Rule 4 is that it can be done. There are very few things in life that cannot be done. However, the problem comes. So rule 4 is just, it can be done. And how many of you have got dreams that you're saying, no, I can't do that? You see, what happens if you have a dream, okay, most people would like to go from 0 to 60. In other words, just because I dreamed the dream, I want it immediately. Very few people are prepared to take the time, sweat and tears, and discipline it takes, to make this possible. Does that make sense? All right. And I want you to understand that if you are one of those people who, is very impatient about things, be aware what you're doing. All right. Again, I would bring Jeannie's experience and mine. Replacing all our stuff has taken a lot of time and effort and planning and everything else. All right. So apparently Jeannie's saying that she was a substitute teacher in kindergarten many times and would have the children march around and sing when they got tired of just sitting. Nice idea. Using their brains and their muscles, to get them away from being bored. Very good thing. So it can be done. How many of you are saying, well, not everything can be done? I want to tell you that, I bring you back that example that I talk about, when Steven Spielberg was making E.T. and he wanted the children to ride across all that rough ground to follow E.T. across the fields. And the bikes, normal bikes, made it almost impossible because they need a flat surface. And then, Spielberg just said, what would it take to be able to do that? And they said, well, it would need to be more like a quad bike. You'd need fatter wheels and better what do you call it, shock absorbers and things like that. And really important that Steven Spielberg went, yep, that's a good idea. Go build one. You see, it wasn't that it couldn't be done. It's nobody had done it yet. When we dreamt about going to the moon, I assure you that a lot of people would have said that's impossible. And some people said, well, what would we need to do to make it possible? You see, those are the different sorts of people in the world, aren't they? There are people who believe that it can't be done and they prove themselves right, and people who believe it can be done and prove themselves right. But also remember, Edison, the story about Edison and the light bulb, he failed over 30,000 times before he got it right. Think about that. Would you be prepared to fail 30,000 times to reach your goal? Not many people have that mentality. So remember, it can be done. Just what do I need to do? How many of you know I have been trying to reach my goal of getting to overweight? My goal is to come out of obese and into overweight. And I didn't want to diet because I knew that would just create a yo-yo. I wanted to make sure that I changed my lifestyle. I also realized that to change your lifestyle, you don't do in a heartbeat. It took me all these years to get the bad lifestyle, eating-wise, ingrained in me. I knew it was going to take me time to change it. Now, I'm already, what am I, about 12 pounds down now. And the interesting thing is that I now, notice that I sort of do a drop and then I plateau and I go up a bit and then I do a drop and then I plateau and I go up a bit. So, but each of those things takes me about 6 months of being better disciplined. It can be done. It's just how disciplined do I want to be? Yeah, Becca is saying about, would you try 30,000 times to get something right? She said she'd probably give up after the third go. I want to tell you, I know people have no patience at all. And if it doesn't go right the first time, they just don't do it. End of story. Oh, I'm not any good at this. So, yeah, done. I did a broadcast one time about what is talent. Is talent something you're born with, or is it talent something that you've spent the time and energy doing? All right, and I talk a lot about artwork. Hang on a second. I just wanted to go and get one of my paintings that I unpacked this week. All right, and this was one of a set of 4 that I did. 3 or 4, maybe 3. There were a set of 3 and they were all fairly similar. And if you look at it, it's actually only made from 2 colors. All right. No, I lie, 3. There was blue, black, and white. But it was how I manipulated those colors together that created this picture. Now, I only have the one of this. I gave the other 2 to Benji for his office. But how many of you are going, it's not just the picture, it is the way that it is framed that makes it the picture that it is. All right. And it's like, that's an awful lot of black, but I think it really complements that particular picture. So you think about it and go, that picture had been hidden from me for over a year. And when I want to tell you, when I unpacked it, I remember that it could be done. All right. I remember that I started to learn how to do this sort of painting. And I have got so many examples of where I failed miserably. And then every now and then, one of these would pop up and I'd go, I like that. That's worth framing. And so remember that it can be done if you're prepared to put enough effort into it. All right. So Becca's saying a gift is born, you're born with, talent you work at. All right. So that's an interesting thing. All right. So think about that. All right. So it can be done. If you spend enough time, how many people, go, well, I can't, I'd like a new car, but I can't afford one. Well, that means it's not what you can't do. What can you do? You can start saving towards a new one. You can start researching what it will cost you and make the plan. Oh, well, I don't have enough money to even live day to day. How can I afford a new car? Well, then you can dream. Remember, I lay in bed and dreamed of a new bathroom. Didn't know how I was going to get it, but it happened. Unfortunately, a fire had to happen, but Rule 5. Think about this one. Be careful what you choose. You may get it. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. And what Colin Powell said was, in short, if you take the time to think things through methodically, you make fewer mistakes in the long run and wind up closer to your ultimate goals. There were a lot of decisions. That Jeannie had to make about replacing everything in her house. All right, she had to make decisions on every wall color, about every floor, covering. She had to make decisions about curtains and things like that. And some of those decisions she had to make without having a whole lot of time. And I don't know if you learned what I learned, Jeannie, was that people wanted me to, they'd wait for a long time and then suddenly they'd want me to make the decision because now they were ready for my decision. They didn't sort of give me 2 months warning that in 2 months' time I'm going to need a decision on this so that I had time to research it. But what I found I did, Jeannie, and I wonder whether you did as well, which is, okay, I now know you need that decision. When do you need it by? Well, today. Well, if you needed it by today, it would have been a nice idea for you to let me know last week, which you didn't. So I'm going to ask you for 48 hours so I've got time to think this through. And I did that a lot to people. In other words, your lack of planning should not be my stress level. I know that when I think things through, I make better decisions. How about you? Right? When I think things through. Now, some of us think things through too much, and I'll talk to that one in a second. But, the truth is what I was inclined to say to the contractors was, when do you need the decision by? And they'd say now. And I go, no, I'm sorry. You don't get it now. You're talking about something I've got to live with for, maybe the next decade or so. Therefore, I can't make a hasty decision. Yes, Janie's saying, I made more time for myself when things seemed to go too fast. Yes, I slowed them down a lot, Jeannie, um, from their stress level. Plus, I corrected them a lot. You know what I mean? If I saw something that was substandard, I said, hey guys, I know you need me to sign off on things, but I will not be signing off on the quality of work that got done in this area. So please have somebody come back and have another look at it. So you see, to me, it's really important. Becca, it's okay. One of the things that I love about studying emotional intelligence is that you can relate to stuff and go, yes, that's me. But if you want to improve, if you want to get better control of your emotions and get off that hamster wheel, then what you will find is your feelings change. All right. You know that it's happening. You know that somebody's trying to stress you for a quick response, but you realize you control the answer, not them. You control it. So you go, hey, I hear that you want an immediate answer. Unfortunately, I can't give it to you. I need time to think about this. Well, no, you've got to tell me right now. And I go, no, there are no got tos as long as I'm an adult. Right? We may be forced children to do things immediately, which I'd like you to rethink, or your grandchildren or whatever. But people make better decisions when they've had time to think about it. So I think it's really important for you to understand that you can do that. Jeannie, it's good to hear that your town council is helping you with your electrical problem. That is great. And yeah, it was wrong. Yes, Becca's saying I'm more paralyzed by thoughts than my emotions, I think. You overthink things in some ways, right? But think about that. You have a good reason for doing that, Becca. All right. Have you ever really sat down and go, why do I overthink things? There's a fear there. I'm scared of what? I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but why do you overthink things and get paralyzed by the what ifs? You tell yourself that you're preparing, and you are. You're preparing until you feel what? All right. Yes, Becca. That is wonderful that you can see that, right? So Becca's saying, but it's really just I'm scared of rejection or making a mistake. If you're scared of making mistakes, all right, understand, and you're scared of rejection, then you are victim to them as well. All right, you're victim to trying to please people. If you're scared of rejection, then you're victim to people pleasing. And if you're scared of making mistakes, then you are paralyzed a lot of the time. I would like to suggest that you get a new mantra for yourself, which is, I'll do the best that I can. And there are more rules here, Becca, that will make sense to you in terms of that. And in terms of being rejected, it's part of life. Not everybody has to like you. It's okay if they don't, all right? You just want to be liked by some people, not everybody. All right, listen to this. Colin Powell had this as rule number 6. And by the way, these are all emotionally intelligent rules. So listen up on these. They're good. Rule 6, don't let adverse facts stand in the way of a good decision. This rule is about realizing that almost all important decisions have to be made without the complete information. You likely have to wait until it's too late to decide. Right? If you wait to get all the right information, Becca, you probably will wait too long. All right. And so emotionally intelligent people know that they will make the best decision they can with the information they have today. They may choose to delay it a little bit, but they don't overthink it. Why? Because waiting too long can be disastrous. And so Remember, your friends might have had to do the same thing too. Think about that. Your friends might have made a bad decision, but the answer I always give my friends is, hey, I bet you it's the best decision you could make at the time with the information that you had. The fact that later you found out other facts doesn't make you wrong. It means that had you had those facts at the time, you would have made a different decision. Well, you didn't. Now, we're all brilliant afterwards, aren't we? So I want you to understand, and Becca, your fear of making mistakes. I make mistakes every single day, don't you? Doesn't hinder me. It amuses me half the time. I spend a lot of time saying that wasn't your best move. So what's your next plan? But I'm prepared to make mistakes. I don't get up. I don't want to say I never get upset if I make a mistake. That's not true. But I rarely get, too bent out of shape by making a mistake. At least I tried. That's a very important thing. Rule number 7, another very important one. You can't make somebody else's decision, and don't let them make yours. Think about that. You can't make somebody else's decision, and don't let anybody make your decision for you. Nor should you ask them to. And I want to talk about that in a second. So stay true to your values and your goals and the things that you want to accomplish. Now, one of the things that happens is an awful lot of people will ask me for advice. My friends will phone up and go, hey, Sal, I've got to do X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And I say to them, here are your options. All right? That I know of. And I'm not saying that these are the only options, but the ones I can think of immediately is you could do this, 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 or this, and I'm talk about all of the options that I can think of. And they say, yeah, but which one is the right one? I say, I have no idea. Well, which one do you think I should take? I can't decide that for you because it's your life. And you need to make your own decisions for your life. Yeah, but I don't want to make a mistake. Hey, I assure you that life has a way of making sure that mistakes are not that bad. All right? And part of making mistakes is you learn to rethink things. And I just won't make decisions for people. I don't think I know what's best for them necessarily. All right. But what I do know is most people don't even have the options, right? They can't think of what the options are. And I don't know about the rest of you, but when I look at a lot of my goals, I got there all sorts of strange ways. I got stopped at here and I went round here and I did that. But the funny thing is that while I was doing this detour to get to my goal, I met this person and this person. And then, life it's all part of life's rich pattern. I don't believe there are coincidences. I don't believe that there is a right or wrong. I believe that we just make a decision and that we choose. And we were given the right to choose. And we need to do that and not be scared of our decisions. And so I look at it, Becca, and as you continue to study emotional intelligence, Becca, you will find that this will come more easily to you. All right. And if you can, I would recommend, maybe sourcing out some books on emotional intelligence or some podcasts or whatever. And just keep, when you go walking or whatever, just keep listening to the ideas and go, something, I could improve on that. I always think that, Abe Lincoln had a really good system. That he heard ideas that he thought were good ones, and he'd write them on the top of a page, and then he'd spend 1 week concentrating on each good idea. And so, it's a really important one. I don't believe that emotionally intelligent people got there by accident. I believe that they worked on being emotionally intelligent. All right, not overreacting to things, giving themselves time to think things through, understanding that you didn't have to please everybody, and that's all right. So here's the thing. How many of you make other people make decisions for you? And if you do, understand that is not emotionally intelligent. Remember what Colin Powell said. You can't make somebody else's decision, and don't let other people make the decision for you. You can let other people give you ideas, but don't ask them to make the decision for you. I can ask them, which do you think is, the way to go? Or I will probably say to them, in your life, which way would you have taken that? All right. And understanding that, even if you say this is the one that I would go for, I will say, I hear you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the one I will choose for my life. So, I look at it and go, it is really important for you to understand that when you let other people make decisions for you, it is emotionally unintelligent. It is not self-leadership. It is being led by somebody. It is not living. And so I have people say to me, oh, well, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And I will smile and say, no, actually, as an adult, I don't have to do anything. But I hear what it is you would like me to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is something I will do. So look at it and see how many times you allow other people to tell you how to do things. Yes, Becca's saying, so you end up in charge of how you respond to those fears. Yes. And this is the whole thing. Nobody lives your life, Becca. Only you do. But what I would like you to do, if you choose to, is just concentrate more on the emotional intelligent factors of it, and go, how many times do I ask people to make a decision for me? What do you think I should do? I, rather say to them, hey, what options can you think of? I will go, something, Becca, when I have a decision to make, I will probably spend 24 hours trying to work out all the possible options I can think of. And then I start talking to my friends. And I literally will go, I wonder if I can pick your brain for a moment. Yeah, sure. Why? Well, this is what's happening to me. I think I've thought it through enough, but I just want to make sure that I've thought of all the angles. So if this happened to you, what comes up in your mind as to what you would do next? And I listen to their ideas. All right. And I go, oh, yep, I got that one. No, I hadn't thought of that one. Thank you. Now, the fact that I've added it to my list doesn't mean I'm going to do it. It just means here is another choice that I have. And so I thank them for adding to my choices. I appreciate it. And then I end up doing what I want to do with my life. I had all sorts of people tell me how I should deal with a negative situation that was happening here, and how I should attack this person verbally and shut them down and do this, that, and the other. I'm going, hey, I know that's what you want me to do. I choose not to do it. No, but if you don't shut them down and do X, Y, and Z, they'll keep doing X, Y, and Z. And I said, hey, that's their stuff, not mine. Got nothing to do with me. All right, that's a good question. Becca's saying, how do you determine the line? Like, how do you know when to stop prepping and when to start doing? I don't know what other people do, Becca, but I can assure you what I do is I give myself a time span. I go, okay, this is not, maybe it's important. So I'll go, okay, you got 24 hours to do whatever research you want to do and then make a decision. If it's not that important, maybe I give myself a week, maybe a month. Hey, some of my decisions have taken me a year, Becca. All right. But I don't dwell on them all the time. They're in my system and they come up every now and then. And I go, oh, yeah, I haven't done anything about that yet. Why not? There must be something still bugging me about it. And then I think it through and think, oh, yeah, I don't like that. What would you do about it? Always work on what you can do, not what you can't do. I think what happens, Becca, a lot of the time, we get stuck in, oh, I can't do that. And I don't work on that. I go, okay, let's say I want to redo my laundry room. Well, I don't have the budget, right? I'm on a limited budget, whatever. And I go, yes, I know that. But what can you do? Well, I can work out how many, I could repaint it rather than redo all the cupboards and everything in there. All right. And I could take the doors off and put modern hinges on them and modern door knobs on them, cupboard handles on them. And so then my time is spent counting how many hinges I will need, and then, having fun researching the sort of style I would like and so forth. And then the next thing will be, how much paint will I need? And then I will start saving to buy the paint and the hinges and everything else. It doesn't have to be done today. And I know other people will say, oh, I would do it immediately. Well, fine. And the reason I still haven't finished unpacking is this time, the first time in my life, I'm going, I don't unpack another box unless I've got somewhere to put stuff. That was one of the healthiest decisions I made. Why? I didn't unpack everything and end up with clutter everywhere, because every time I unpack a box, it's called put it away, recycle it, or throw it away. And if I haven't got anywhere to put it away, then what's the point of opening up the box? Yes, Becca's saying, I love those budget home makeover shows where there's like a do-it-yourself, a room makeover with just thrift stores and charity shops. I want to tell you, it's great fun to do. Slow down. Remember, what did he say? Hang on a second. I want to go back. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. All right. Jeannie's saying, we discovered we needed a large electric toaster by Thanksgiving. We ordered an American-made one at the local hardware store. It was supposed to arrive today or next Tuesday. A roaster, not a toaster. Okay, so your Thanksgiving is not until the end of November, right? So you've got time for that to go wrong. I like that, Jeannie. That's emotionally intelligent to me. This is called, I'll order it, but I'll leave enough time so if it doesn't arrive. By the way, as we know, the supply chain is clogged up. Everything, restocking of shelves is getting more and more difficult. So what's plan B if the roaster doesn't arrive? What's your plan B? Do you have aluminum ones ready just in case? That's what I would do, because we know the reality is the supply chain is clogged and everything is taking longer. Be aware that, during your Christmas shopping next Christmas will be very dangerous this year. I encourage you all to do your Christmas shopping now while there's still stuff on the shelves, because later there may not be anything that you want. On Rule 8, Colin Powell said, check the small things. And there you go, Becca. Becca, I think in your decision making, it's a really good idea to do mind mapping. And I think you know all about that. Because that will tell you if you've made all the right things. So, and it also helps, to check on the small things. So this is your goal. And, I like to ask the questions who, what, why, where, when, how. Okay, so any decision I make, all right, I like to think through that. Can I answer all those questions? Give me a situation, Becca, that you might spend a lot of time not knowing when you've got the right answers. All right. Jeannie's saying we don't have aluminum, but we do have a crock pot. But York's saying that it's not enough heat for the turkey. I would agree with that. So therefore, I would say, Jeannie, make sure you've got, go to the dollar store, get a couple of aluminum roasting pans, so you know if the roaster doesn't arrive, you're still covered, and you can get them now before it gets too close to Thanksgiving. All right, so Becca's saying that her goal, for example, is car. Now let's do what Colin Powell said, which is check the small things. All right, so the first thing I would ask is, what, do you want a new one or a secondhand one? First question I would ask. All right. So that's a decision you need to make. Do I want to buy a new one or do I want to get a secondhand one? Make sense? Actually, let me. And then why do I want a new car? Because you need the why to determine what sort of car you need, right? Because mine is broken down. Good idea. Mine's not big enough. Mine's not whatever. So it's important to know the why you need the car, because it will help you make the decisions as to what car you get next. Where are you going to look? Are you going to, go to the local auto mall, or are you going to, do it some other way? I understand that. Do I know how I'm going to look? All right. And then when am I going to do it? Make sure you have a deadline. You didn't keep to your deadline. You didn't say, and I'm going to make the decision by November the 30th. All right. Because you're scared of making the wrong decision. So therefore, you don't give yourself a deadline and keep to it. And how am I going to do it? So now you've got the bigger problem. You've been through all of this. So why didn't you make the decision? You're not stupid. Why didn't you make the decision? Something must still have been worrying you. The good thing is my dad is here to help me through it. But all in all, I'm the one to be driving it, not my dad. Not only that, you're giving him responsibility again, right? You're making him do the work. Why do you do that? You're an adult now. You're not a kid. And here you go. I did make the decision, but it took a while to get to the best one. Yes, but now you have, right? You see, the thing is, while you're busy procrastinating about doing it, the best one might have gone already, in which case you got to start again. So Colin Powell said this: emotionally intelligent people adopt this practice for a very simple reason, to avoid letting their optimism, excitement, and sheer busyness lead them to assume things are working out okay. And, Becca, I would say you run the opposite of that, all right? You over-check things. You spend too much time finding the perfect answer, and therefore you just don't do anything. And, I know a lot of people like that, Becca. And so the question is, if you're so scared of failing, you will not win. All right? And that's what it's just like every time that goal comes up for you, you go, oh, I haven't done that yet. It's a negative. It's not a positive. So what one step could you take this week towards getting your car? What one step can you go, I did something towards getting a car? You see, when I look at my goals, I ask myself, what have I done this week towards it? Did I have a look at the hinges that I want? I don't even have to buy them yet. Have I looked at them? That's a step forward. All right. So keep taking one more step, Becca, not the big one if necessary, but something is still stopping you. And it's the fear of making the wrong decision. We all make wrong decisions. Now, I always said to my staff, I'm going to be checking on a lot of things with you, and I want you to understand that. You see, I understood this thing about check the small things. Somebody taught me way back in management school, when I went to management school, that the staff respect what the boss inspects. Think about that. The staff respect what the boss inspects. So if I am constantly checking their figures, if they know that every Tuesday I'm going to go through, what their quotas were and how far they've gone, then, they're going to be more aware that, by Monday they better have got, some action going. So to me, it's really important that you understand that I kept checking on the small things. Why? It's the small things that make the big things happen. Yeah, Kimmy's saying watch out for the warranties they offer when you buy at a dealership. Do research on them. Yes. Um, there's no such thing as the perfect car, from my experience. There's no such thing as the perfect anything. How many of you bought a computer that didn't work? Kimmy, what about your experience with keyboards and things, all right? And so, I have bought two of these little folding mini remote keyboards. The first one, there was a problem with it, and I sort of said, no, that doesn't work. Send me another one. Second one did the same thing. What do I know? I'm not buying a third, right? Yeah, and Becca's already now bought the car. Yeah, sorry, you didn't mention that. So, the good thing is it's probably not perfect, but it's pretty good for all the decisions that you have to make, and it suits your needs. I think it was good that you understood you're the one that's going to be driving it, not your daddy. All right. So yes, he might have wanted you to be aware of certain things, and they're good things to check on. But the truth is, you end up with the one that you want. So I always believe if I haven't made a decision, Becca, there's a good reason for it. All right. Either I haven't set my deadline properly, or whatever is worrying me subconsciously is so big that I don't make the deadline. That I keep missing that deadline. Why? There's a good reason for it. Why am I not unpacking 2 boxes a day anymore? Well, because I'm not totally sure where everything's going to go, but I'm getting there. I am unpacking at least 3 or 4 boxes a week now, and I'm probably down to about 12 to go, which is pretty exciting. Rule 9, and I like this. Rule 9 says share the credit. People need recognition and a sense of worth as much as they need food and water. Now, I'm pretty certain you know that about yourself, that you love getting recognition, that you love getting the credit for things. And if you know how that feels, then make sure you pass that on. All right? Make sure you don't steal somebody else's thunder. If somebody, I found that when I had staff that gave me a great idea, the boss will say to me, well, Sal, that's a great idea. Well done. And I go, I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't. What? No, it's not my idea. It came from, Jeannie. So I wonder if you do me a favor. When you're walking through the office today and you see her, can you make sure that you thank her for that great idea? I would encourage him to do it, you see, because then he gets to say, hey, I was talking to Sal and she tells me you came up with this idea about X, Y, and Z. The boss gets to say that. It's wonderful. And so, yes, Jeannie's saying that her husband York taught her to compliment people who do a good job. Sometimes I would not think to do so. I had something that, again, stuck in my mind all my life that I was a manager. Reward good behavior. All right? So even if I'm in a store And somebody is kind enough to reach for something for me or to help me, and so I reward good behavior. If somebody still opens the door for me, I will say, sir or madam, whichever it is, I know a lot of people think this is demeaning, but I personally want to thank you for holding the door for me. It makes me feel very special. Thank you. I would say, yeah, Kimmy's saying, by the way, some of those car warranties will up the price of the car. Of course, that's why they want to sell them to you. It's called an add-on, Kimmy. So yes, but a great thing to remind people of. Be careful what you say yes to, because it's, but on the other hand, is it a good idea to have a warranty? I think so. So share the credit. Why? Because people need recognition and a sense of worth. Jeannie, when I asked whether you'd be kind enough to be my admin for the day, what went through your mind? What were your feelings when I asked you if you would do that? Did you have, your response to me was, I will try. It wasn't yes, I will try, which, has a sense of, I think I hope I don't fail. Well, there is no failure. Would you be my admin to the best of your ability? That's all I need. How many times did I have to tell Jody that? And now she knows that is my benchmark. My benchmark isn't that you're perfect. Will you just do the best you can for me? Yes, Becca's saying, I love getting recognition for my photography. It makes me feel like my passion has purpose. That is such an important thing, isn't it, Becca? And do you help compliment other people on their passion so they get the same feeling? Yes, Jeannie, exactly. Jeannie is saying, when I asked her whether she'd be our admin for the day, she said, I was not sure I could do it. See, that's what? But I was glad to help out. That's why I picked you, Jeannie, because I knew that that's who you are. And that was wonderful. And that's all I would ask, is that just, can you help me out here if I need it? Yeah. And so far, you're doing great. And by the way, you will do great anyway, because you will do your best. I know that. All right, and Becca's saying, yes, I hype other photography quite often because I know what it feels like. Yes, but keep sincere. Don't do it just because, but find stuff that you can compliment, right? Everybody has good and bad things in them. Make sure that you find the good ones that feel good to you. How many times do I comment on something and somebody says, oh no, I've had these forever. I said, I don't really care. I just want to tell you, I think they're great. I don't care how old they are. I love it. I love it. So let's look again at Rule 10. Rule 10 is, and this is on leadership, remain calm and be kind. So what does that bring up to you? When you hear that, remain calm and be kind, what goes through your mind? How do you feel about that? Is that something that you can live by? My new mantra is remain calm and be kind. And if I don't think I can be, shut my mouth, right? Yeah, I had that happen too. Becca's talking about something that happened to her. I had somebody that promised to take me camping in September. It's now middle of October. And she recently apologized and said, I'm so sorry. I just want to tell you what's been going on. And I said, hey, I love you. Did I need to bug her all the time going, hey, you said we were going to go camping and da 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 da? No, I don't want to guilt her out. Why would I do that? What do I know? If she hasn't booked the trip for us to go camping, she has a good reason. She's either overwhelmed or life's got in the way, but she is my friend. So what do I know? She'll think of it. And when she does, she probably thinks about it a lot. But eventually she's going to talk to me about it. And she did this week and said, I'm so sorry. This is what's been going on. And I said, hey, it's okay. She said, can we do it in the spring? And I said, hey, I love you. It's okay. I wasn't living my life. We're waiting every second to do that. Yeah, it's just like, it's not been confirmed yet, so I don't need to think about it. Jeannie's saying, in terms of remain calm and be kind, she said, calmness begets calm in others. Being kind is something I always try to do. Being mean is not my style. But I think somewhere here, Jeannie, is that some people are mean, not because they necessarily mean to be mean. They've never learned how to be calm and how to control those emotions. Think about bullies. Think about people who are nasty to one another. Think about children at school, who are nasty to one another. I don't think it's because they mean to be mean. I think it's about something else. So what do you think? What do you guys feel about that? Why are people mean normally? What is your experience? And why do people overreact to stuff? Right? If the first part is be calm, why are people agitated? Why are people on the hamster wheel? Why are they not calm? See, when you can work out why people are not this, it's easy to work out how to be it. How do you defuse yourself? How do you not have sleepless nights for the next month over something? See, when you've worked that out, you will start to be happy. I know every decision I make could be wrong. At least I make a decision. I understand that my idea of being kind might not be somebody else's. I realize that my idea of being a friend might not be somebody else's as well. Yeah, Jeannie is saying that for her, years of living have helped her be calm. Yes, I would agree with you. I wish what is it? Youth is wasted on the young, right? Because don't you wish that you had known then how to control your emotions the way that you do now? Becca's saying, I agree with you, Sal. I think mean is a result of lack of emotional security or confidence, or even recognizing their own emotions that aren't anger based, because how they cope with trauma. Yes, for some people, they are nasty because they need control. They can't let go of control. All right, so you hurt me, so I will hurt you twice as hard. They don't. Those sort of people don't have compassion either. Those people don't know how to. They see it all as winning and losing. All right. And some of those people, hey, get pretty high up in the world, right? But everything is about win or lose. It's not about compromise. It is about either I win or I lose, and I don't lose. Those are angry people. Becca's saying the turbulence tells us those people and makes them think anger is an appropriate response because it's a true human emotion. Hi there, Sam. Good to see you. And you look at it and you go, I I no longer react to angry people. I refuse to. What I say is, in my head, I will not lower myself to go there. And so they'll be going and using terrible words on me and all sorts of things. And I go, I am sorry that you feel that way. Got nothing, in my head, I'm going, but it's got nothing to do with me. This is your stuff. You are the angry person. Well, Becca's saying to lose is to be weak, and to be weak is to be vulnerable. You see, I don't think it is about win and lose, right? I don't see life that way. I think you're on your path and I'm on mine. Yes, that's a very good point. Jean is bringing the political comment in here, and she says, "I don't always agree with Susan Collins, who is represents men, but she knows how to compromise and is always honest in her opinions. I've always respected her. I agree with you, Jeannie. I've always respected her because she knows what she believes. Right. So go back to that. Remember what Colin Powell said. Let me go back. You can't make other people's decisions and don't let them make yours. I've always felt that she was very strong on that point. This is what I believe, but I'm prepared to compromise to this point, but this is where I'm at. Hi there, Bernice. Good to see you. So, and it's not just her. If you look at it, there are all sorts of people that we can agree with or don't agree with. I think anybody who's prepared to compromise has my vote. When I say compromise, because I don't see that as losing, I see that this is where you are, this is what I am. Where is the win-win? How far do we need to walk towards each other until we get a win-win? You've given some, I've given some, and now we can agree on this. That is what it's meant to be about. All right? And I think it's really important that we remember that. So remember to remain calm. Give yourself the space to be calm. If somebody is triggering you, you're getting angry or emotionally overwhelmed or whatever, put a stop to it and say, hey, I'm sorry, I need to leave this conversation now. I'm getting triggered. No, we need to finish it now and sort it out. Da, 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 da. No, I need some time to get my emotions under control. Well, what are you? Some sort of a loser? I'm sorry that you might think that way. No, I'm actually in control and I want to keep it. I don't want to suddenly react. Yeah, know your triggers, all right? What are your triggers? Do you know? I know duplicity. Don't lie to me. I don't do duplicity well. I am a great believer, don't say one thing to my face and another thing behind my back. I don't do that well at all. I consider that to be betrayal at some level, and that's all part of one of my triggers. What else is it? It's about be fair. All right. I have a situation where somebody is angry at me because I am not reacting nastily to somebody. And I'm going, hey, that person is angry and nasty and using foul language because they are not a well person. Or maybe they haven't learned what you've learned, right? It's not necessarily that they are a bad person. They just don't have control the way that some people, maybe they were not taught how to do that. I don't think that makes them a bad person. I think it means that they didn't get the same opportunities to learn or didn't understand them. Jeannie's saying outsiders spend a fortune trying to have Susan Collins lose, but they couldn't because the people in Maine respect Susan. Yeah, I think so as well. All right, Becca's saying she wishes that this way of responding is less taboo. I would say it is less taboo for the people who are emotionally intelligent. Remember what I said, think like a lawyer. A lawyer doesn't let the emotion be part of that discussion, right? Lawyers just deal with the facts. It cuts out an awful lot of waffle. Yes, Janie's saying angry people may be hurting inside. I think angry people are hurting inside myself, right? So seek to understand them. Becca's saying, but I think in a lot of circumstances, to not respond instantly. Pressure is considered rude. I'm not totally understanding that, Becca. Word it another way for me. This is my misunderstanding. I'm certain it makes perfect sense the way that you wrote it. I just not making sense to me. So I look at it and go, it's a damaged person. Well, Becca's saying, but there are many people who aren't emotionally intelligent yet. Well, hello. That's because you haven't been taught to be emotionally intelligent, right? You've been allowed to be a child for too long. When I say you've been allowed to be a child, but do you understand what I'm saying, Becca? People have controlled you and continue to control you. They haven't encouraged you to make your own decisions. They haven't taught you the value of making mistakes. They haven't, what they've tried to do is shield you and protect you. That doesn't make you grow into an emotionally intelligent person. That makes you scared of your own shadow. And so to me, you know that. And now it's a case of how much do you want to study it? How much do you want to learn? How much do you want to work at it? Remember the very first rule. Let me go back there. What was that first one? The second one. No. The rule 4 was it can be done. But remember, his quote was that it takes sweat, determination, and hard work. All right? Emotional intelligence doesn't come by chance. It becomes because you practice it. All right, not responding under pressure is considered prude or rude. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it, that people want you to respond. All right? And I find it makes them really angry when I don't, Becca. That's a very good point. Sorry, I misunderstood what you were trying to say earlier. I found that, I had that problem with Yvonne when I first met Yvonne, because Yvonne was, very high reactor on stuff. Took a lot to get her to get angry, but when she got angry, she really went at it, and then she expected you to fight her. And I could, whenever and it didn't happen very often, but whenever that happened, I'd go, Yvonne, I can't talk to you now. I need to get this sorted out now. Well, that's what you need. I need not to stay in this because it's beginning to trigger me and I might say something I will regret for the rest of my life. So please do me a favor. I promise you I will discuss this, but only when we both have calmed down and had a chance to think about it. So that, it'll be within the next 48 hours, I would think. Interesting. Becca's saying, I'm not the one pressurizing others. I pressure myself. And that's a huge load to bear. That's why I'm on the path to becoming more emotionally intelligent. Yes, exactly, Becca. And it might take you the rest of your life. All right, give yourself time. But what I would do is study the first book, and if in the first chapter you see something and go, gosh, I could do with some work on that, go, okay, let me put that at the top of a page somewhere. And create your own manual that you check every night and maybe score yourself. How did I do on this today? Not well. So what do I need to do better? All right. And what's so wonderful today is we have the libraries available to us. We can hear these things on while we're walking. We can We can study them, on PDFs. Think about how lucky we are. There's nothing that we cannot study today. And most of it we can get for free. Rule 11. Have a vision. Remember the words from the show South Pacific, from the song Happy Talk. The words that stayed with me for a lifetime. If you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true? And so I've had the vision for my bathroom. Now, I assure you that vision was magical. I'd seen enough bathrooms that I love to know what I would like to have in there. It was tempered by my budget. And then it didn't all go well, did it? And it still isn't finished properly. But most of the vision has come to be. And I had to make decisions to not have other things in my life so I could have the bathroom that I've always wanted. And as I keep telling you all, there isn't a day that I walk into that bathroom and don't smile. And I have yet to see anybody who's visited my house, walk into my bedroom and not go, wow. Yes, Becca's saying, do I know the song High Hopes? Absolutely, about the worm. It's an absolutely wonderful song. Yes, and so these things are really, it doesn't matter what sticks in your mind, whether it's if you don't have a dream, how you're going to have a dream come true, or whether it's high hopes. Eye in the pie, something in the sky hopes. Yep. I can't remember all the words, but yep, I do know the one you're talking about. If you I wonder if it's the same high hopes. I'd have to check which one it is for you. Oh, I didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Yes, I think that's really important. That if you're not working towards something, you're stagnating. All right. So that's why I can just say, did I take one step towards a goal today? All right. It doesn't matter which one of my goals. Did I take one step? By the way, it is in my long-term goal, to start getting my Christmas stuff identified in my shed. I know I've got boxes of Christmas stuff there. And so what did I want to find this week? I wanted to find some good frames that I knew I had in somewhere in that shed. And so I had to go to the shed to do something else this week. And I thought, while I'm here, I know that's on my list. And guess what? I found the box and I brought it in, which means I've now brought another box into the house. But it is one box that I need because I want to make some really nice Christmas presents from those frames. And so to me, I look at it and go, I have a vision all the time, don't you? I want to tell you, I walk into my kitchen every day and go, oh, how many of you like my little white containers there for my flowers, not flowers, my vegetables. All right, because I kept looking at the mess and I'm going, no, I want something a little bit more organized. So I thought, what would look nice along there? And I got those. I've started putting my seedlings into the black mugs, the DearMamaSal black mugs. So how do I get this to look more tidy or more coordinated for the winter? Well, guess what? Here we have my pepper seeds, which, by the way, I grew from this is a pepper that I finished yesterday, and this is a pepper that I finished about a month ago. All I do is when I finish a pepper, I just keep it like this and I leave it in my greenhouse window until it dries and looks like that, and then I plant the seeds. So I'm trying to learn how to do that. But you understand, it's all about, I wonder if it works. The vision is, how do you do that? And so how you do it is slowly. They take a long time to grow, I can tell you that. But every month I try to plant a few more. Wait 1 second. And eventually they start really growing quite well. But guess what? To my horror, I noticed that this one was starting to die. And then I noticed some bug had got to it. Don't know if you can see that, but something has been laying eggs on it. And so I'm going to take it right outside again so these bugs are not in the house. But you see, it's slowly killing my plant. So now I was heartbroken. Months of growing, and now suddenly something's going to eat it. So I've got some spray, and I've got most of it gone, but I will obviously need to spray it a bit more. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about that is because the vision I had was to grow my own peppers, but it's taken a long time. I'm spraying them with a mixture of dish soap, oil, and water. And most bugs don't like that. The oil makes it stick to the leaves, and the soap kills them. So it's just like these things. After months and months of growing those plants, suddenly something is killing them. Yeah. So these things happen. That's life. Does it mean I failed? What do you think? Or have I learned how to grow them big, but I haven't learned how to spray them early enough? You see, and I keep saying to Benji, I was so excited. How many of you remember last year I grew Tommy the tomato, and I think I got 1 or 2 tomatoes off him by the end of the year. Well, now I'm getting, this year, this is just this week's crop of tomatoes from my little plants. And how many of you know that by next year I will have got this down to a pretty fine art? All right. Yes, Jeannie's saying that Benji and Judy are enjoying the fresh fruits in Hawaii. They certainly are. And so have a vision. Remember, seeing as you're talking about Benji and Judy, remember I always had a vision that one day I would go to Hawaii. I lived a lifetime, never went there. And then out of the blue, what was it? A few years ago, Benji phoned me up just before Christmas and said, "What are you doing for New Year?" And I went, "What? What are you doing for New Year?" "I don't know. What am I doing for New Year?" He said, "You're going to Hawaii." I think she was 9 this year, this birthday. Yeah, I think she's 9 this birthday. She was born in October 2012. Becca's saying failure is not in your vocab, Sal. I've told you this before. I wish I had your thinking ability. Well, see, I'm patient. See, I don't expect to learn how to grow tomatoes immediately. I know it's going to take me time. The other thing is, I know that most people, get the seedling plants and then try and grow tomatoes. Me, I want to grow it from seed. And by the way, I grow it from, hold on. I grow it from tomatoes that come into my house. All right. So this is like, I know it must be possible. And I keep playing until it works. I know that 1 year from, I keep going until it works, but 1 year, that whole greenhouse window is going to be full of peppers and tomatoes. Right? It'll take a while. How many of you remember that spinach plant that I started with this year? Right? Any of you remember? Yeah. Not every seedling grows up to be big and strong, but this one did. Look at that. And so every now and then when I'm doing a stir fry, I'll take a leaf and throw it into the stir fry. All right. How proud do you think I am of this one? Look at how strong that stem is. So and this is a leek. This is ginger. This is mint. This is lettuce and basil. So, I think you all know I said to somebody, my joy is not having the perfect vegetable garden, because when I put things in my vegetable garden, the bunny rabbits come and eat it and everything else that lives in the area. I'm going to have to learn how to grow things inside or on my deck. So, you look at it and you go, it's a slow process. Yeah. Kimmy is saying that she just got through cleaning, cooking, peeling, and putting a lot of tomatoes from the garden in the blender and then into freezer bags. Yes. And I think that's wonderful. I am learning that I will also do that. All right. I just have to perfect how I do it. It's taking me a few years to learn how to do that. I'm looking to turn my deck into a hanging basket and nursery. When I say hanging baskets of vegetables and things. All right, that's what I've decided I want to do. And so I'm just starting to work on that now. I bought the hanging baskets ready for next year. And as soon as the weather turns, my vision is already thinking of the spring. All right, I'm that far ahead in my thinking. And so I've been buying the things that I need for that. So where did we get to? Let me just continue here so I can finish this. All right. Rule 12 of 13. Rule 12, Colin Powell said, don't take counsel of your fears or the naysayers. In other words, it's your dream, not somebody else's. And I am pretty certain that, bye, Becca. I'm pretty certain that you all know that not everybody will agree with your dream and what it is that you want to do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I am certain that every successful person, has had a dream that other people thought was ridiculous. I am pretty certain that, when Jules Verne came up with a lot of his science fiction stuff, that everybody just went, wow, yeah, really, how does he imagine that? But the truth is, so much of what he dreamed up is now reality. How many of you remember the Jetsons? And you think about it and you go, how many of the things that they dreamed up for the Jetsons now actually are part of our life? Um, things like, a robot that cleaned the floors. I mean, really, and now I've got one. So you look at these things and go, it's important. But I am certain as well that people, there were a lot of naysayers about Shatner going up into space. There are a lot of naysayers saying, we should not waste the money going into space when we've got so many problems here on Earth. Well, it's their money, all right? It's their money. How they choose to spend it is their business, not ours. And I look at that, if people choose to become space tourists and have the money to do it, that is their right. I don't think we should be telling people how to spend their money. I do believe that most of those people are pretty good about spending their money on other things as well. It's not just all that they do. And so you look at it and you go, it is really important that we understand that we don't let our fears or other people's fears control our dreams. Now, does that mean that you will be successful? Not necessarily, but you will learn a lot and things that you need to learn about yourself. Not all dreams turn out to be successful. Um, I believe there is a saying that says, be careful what you pray for and be very grateful God doesn't give you all of those things. And rule 13 that Colin Powell had was perpetual optimism. He said that perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. You lead in both your words and your actions. All right? So, be optimistic about your future. You might not have emotional intelligence today, but I'm working on it. I might not have, a totally organized house, but I'm working on it. I will still be judged by people, and I don't care. I know how far I've come. All right. I know that I haven't unpacked it, but I'm working on it. And I'm nearly in all the boxes that are inside. I'm nearly done. My goal was to be done with the boxes inside by spring. That was, I set, a very realistic goal for myself. And I am pretty confident that I will get there. And then the funny thing is, I said that next year I would work on the boxes in my shed, and I have a lot of boxes in there. But the funny thing is, because each time I go in there, I stop and I go, that box doesn't have a label on it to say what's in it. And I've got a X-Acto knife that's in there, a box cutter, and I will open up the box and I will look what's in it and I will just write on the outside. So, and then I will put, for example, if it's a box full of woodworking stuff, I will find the other box that's got woodworking stuff in it and put them together. I now have most of the Christmas boxes together. So when I want to do my Christmas decorations, I can pull them out week by week and just, go through them. So, I'm sort of like, know that having that vision, and being perpetually optimistic that I can do this, and I believe that I can, is a good thing. I no longer see unpacking as a boring thing to do. I see it as exercise. I found the same with the leaves coming down. It was just like there were an awful lot of maple leaves around my place this last month. And, I went out on Tuesday and spent 2 hours cleaning all the leaves up and mulching them and getting them ready to put on my beds for the winter. And guess what? The next day I got up and I walked onto the deck and I looked at the backyard and it looked like I hadn't been there the day before. I'm not joking. it looked like I hadn't done anything. And I burst out laughing. I didn't get angry. I burst out laughing. And then I looked up at the tree and went, how many more leaves do you have to let go of? And then I heard that we're going to have a week of rain, and I'm going, yay, that should get rid of most of them. So when the next clear day comes that I can get out there and rake again and mulch again, I at least will know that we're just about done. By the way, he came up with a bonus rule. He said the bonus rule was that some of his rules are in conflict. And that's a good thing. In other words, that life never goes totally the right way. Sometimes you cannot remain calm and be kind. But sometimes people need to be told that they crossed a boundary. All right? And so therefore you're being very clear. And sometimes, you might not be optimistic all of the time. You might become your own naysayer. But the truth is that sometimes when you are your own devil's advocate, it's amazing the things that come to your mind for solutions and answers to it. And so, I look at it and go, it is really possible to live with those wonderful, emotionally intelligent rules. And I would recommend that, some of you may want to print them out and just, have them somewhere that you can, check with yourself. How am I doing on these rules? What a wonderful goal to be able to, check on. Apparently I've lost weight this week. I can tell because what happens is I have to keep pulling up my, it must have come off my waist because these used to fit. But it's like anything in life, if you keep revisiting it. I looked at, you remember I said about my weight that I had this goal that I was trying to drop below. And I have been sitting on this plateau doing this. And sometimes I went up a bit and then I came back down and sat on the plateau and I went up a bit and I came down. I could not drop below that plateau. I did this week. It was so exciting. You will remember, have a vision that I have already started training to do 5K in May. All right. And I'm doing it on my air glider. Now, I want to tell you, air glider is not as it's it's like an elliptical, but you're not going like this. You're just doing this. And that sounds pretty easy to do, doesn't it? You can probably see it uses a lot of your core. But I managed this week to do 15 minutes and I managed to do 875 slides. And that's not 1, 2, that is 1, 2, 3, like that. So I have already done the math and worked out what pace I need to be doing that at. And the incredible thing is that I have it, paced all the way through the winter because that's how I'm going to keep fit during the winter. But boy, it is not easy. And what happens is it is like anything else. It's easy to quit on it, right? It's easy to give up. It's easy to go, oh, this is boring. Why would I keep doing this? But the truth is I have to keep remembering that the reason I'm doing it is because I want to go below that line. And I want to, be fit enough again to do another 5K this year. So you look at it and go, it's not going to happen by accident, right? If I don't keep fit during the winter, I will, my arthritis in my left hip will take control. So I want to control that. I want to, if I don't use that left hip, it's going to seize up on me. So I keep using it. By the way, I found out, for example, that I was having problems putting on my socks last year. All right. I have problems getting my foot up onto my knee. All right. As you know, because that's this hip that's a problem. So what I've started to do now is, because it is winter and I will feel the arthritis more in the winter, that's, nature. I've started doing exercises to keep my hips moving even more this year, because I need to compensate more. You see, if I don't have that dream that I can keep putting my socks on. By the way, did I buy one of those little gizmo things that helps you put your socks on when you get old and doddery? Yeah, I got one of those just in case. But the truth is, I don't want to use it. It's nice to know. It's a bit like Genie and the roaster, right? It's nice to know that I've got it if I really need it. But I'm doing everything I can not to. I'm doing exercises. What is it called? The sock thing? Good question. Let me go see. Hang on a second. I don't see a name on it. I don't see a name on it, but I would probably Google sock machine. Or let's think, what else would I look for? Something to help me put on my socks, you know what I mean? And see what comes up. It looks like this and has a second part to it like this. So what you do is you put your sock over here and then you slide your foot in, right? That's the easy part. But then to get the sock off, you slide this down your sock and under your heel, and then you just pull it off. So it actually works. You know, I tested it to make sure that it did. So, but you understand, I don't want to use it. I just have it because I do want to be able to put socks on if my arthritis gets too bad. And I don't want to spend my life on taking more and more pills. Yeah, how cool is that? It quite honestly, it wasn't in a big expense, but, and it does work. It's a bit weird. You sort of got to think a bit, but it does work. What surprised me was I hadn't thought about that, is that it helps you take them off. And that's also clever. All right. I knew I needed help getting them on, but I didn't think about the fact I also might need help taking them off. And that second part, this bit acts as a shoehorn as well. So it's very useful. So, okay, here we go. All right, and how about this one? I just want to finish with this one. Colin Powell said that bad news isn't wine. It doesn't improve with age. So if you've got bad news, don't protect everybody, all right? It's okay. People actually handle bad news better than you think they do. And I don't know about you guys, but how do you feel about somebody who's got bad news, but you later find out they didn't tell you because they didn't want to mess with your mind, or they wanted to protect you or whatever? I'm going, really? You didn't trust me? That I'd be able to handle it? I'm not a child. I'm an adult. And I'm your friend. So why did you hide this from me? All right. So, think about that. I am hoping that today's broadcast brought up some feelings for you. I'm hoping that at least one or two of Colin Powell's rules for good leadership helped you see how to be a better leader of yourself and how to be a better leader to your children or your grandchildren or your friends. You see, it's not just about ourselves. I think it's very important that we help lead our family and friends as well. How often do we overprotect, taking Becca's example, how often do we overprotect our children? How often do we stop them from making a mistake when really they need to learn how to deal with making mistakes. It's okay. How often do we instill perfection into them when it's not, life is not about perfection. It's about, hey, why don't you try and see what happens? And so I would like you to please understand that we are all here to help one another. Life is not as easy as we would like it to be sometimes, but we can survive it. And we can survive it if we support one another, not to be perfect, but to keep learning and to keep growing like the seeds in the greenhouse window, right? And keep being more comfortable in our surroundings. How do I make it look cleaner than it is? And when we can see that it doesn't all have to be done today, when we can see that we've got the rest of our lives to get this sorted out if we need to, and we will always, how many of you know this one? We will always make time for the things we want to do. It's not that you didn't have time, you didn't make time. All right? You didn't see this as more important than something else. So don't blame time for it. It's important. Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate you being admin for the broadcast. That was so kind of you. And I hope that you learned something from doing it. And I tried very hard not to delegate stuff and didn't want to swamp you. But quite honestly, I happily would have done. So thank you for being a team player and for supporting me in that way. I really, really appreciate it. I knew that you'd be somebody that would, do that for us. So thank you so much. So everybody, remember to look after one another, but most of all, please look after yourselves. And remember, leadership is about how we lead ourselves, first of all. We cannot lead others if we're not capable of leading ourselves. Although, how many of you have had bosses that had no right to be leaders? I have memories. All right, this is DearMamaSal saying, look after one another, most of all, look after yourself, and remember, lead yourself in a better direction for the next year. Keep notes, keep improving, keep taking one more step. We'll see you this evening. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jeannie.